How do you create an extraordinary quality of life today? For nearly 2 decades, this one man, Anthony Robbins, has searched for and found that answer. Now, using education to teach and entertainment to inspire, his systems for change empower millions around the world to improve their lives. Live by satellite, on audio tape across 42 nations, from Russia to Germany, England to China, his impact is global.
Oh, yeah,
Tony Robbins is sought out as a peak performance consultant and turnaround expert. He has met with world leaders like Nelson Mandela and consulted with Mikhail Gorbachev. He has counseled U.S. President Clinton and Princess Diana. Tony Robbins provides the competitive edge in sports. He strategized with America Cubed, which brought home the America's Cup. He helped the LA Kings reach the Stanley Cup Finals for the first time in 17 years. Then, when Andre Agassi was ranked 30th, he asked Tony Robbins to help improve his mental focus. Within 6 months, Agassi won the U.S. Open and became the #1 player in the world. Tony Robbins has worked with people from every walk of life, from the most challenged to the most successful. From people like Quincy Jones, Pamela Lee, Bill Farley, and executives from Fortune 500 companies. From the very famous to the very special. Now, Tony Robbins can be your personal coach with his 30-day personal power system. Learn how to master your emotions.
I'm happier today than I've ever been before in my life.
Your physical health.
I've maintained a 78-pound weight loss for 2 years.
Your relationships.
I'm so much in love.
Your finances.
From 0 in sales to $7 million in revenue.
And balance your life.
He's saying, here's the door, here's the key, go for it.
Personal Power is the #1 best-selling personal achievement system of all time, with over 25 million educational cassettes sold. Coming up, we'll travel to the big island of Hawaii, where each year more than 1,000 people from 42 nations attend his most exclusive event, Mastery University, to learn a tool you can use to immediately improve any area of your life. Welcome to Anthony Robbins' Life Management Systems. Now let's join Tony at his beautiful island resort in Fiji.
Hi, I'm Tony Robbins, and welcome to our Fijian island resort, Namale. It's a paradise here, and we're about to go on a journey together that'll include some time here in Fiji, some time in Hawaii at my Mastery University, and maybe a couple other places where I can share with you just a couple of tools that can help you increase the quality of your life. In just 45 minutes, we can't obviously give you a whole seminar because one little section is 3 or 4 hours, but I want to give you a little appetizer or two of some tools that can help you to, one, increase the quality of your communication. Because my personal belief is it doesn't matter what your goals are, your desires, ultimately your ability to achieve them and to be happy and to be fulfilled comes down to communication. And we all communicate well when we're in an unstressed state. But when we get stressed, we start developing patterns that stop us. So I want to make sure that in order to have that quality of life where you can really manage your life effectively, you learn just a couple of tools in that area. Secondly, if we're going to manage our life and really learn life management systems, we have to know our priorities. So we're going to do a little goal-setting workshop. And you may have begun a part of that if you've already gone through the audio tapes of Personal Power, which I hope you've done, because that's ideal to go through before you go through this videotape. But if you haven't, you can do it here with me on the videotape together. And I can tell you that this little process is something that's totally changed my life and an amazing number of other people. In fact, sometimes when you begin a process, you wonder, oh, is this really going to make any difference? You know, it seems so simple. But I can tell you that simple things, little things, aren't little at all if they are significant, if they're things that can shape our lives, if they can change the way we think, the way we believe, the way we act, and therefore what we experience in our lives. And that's what we're going to share with you on this tape. So again, you'll get a little peek of many different things, but I hope you'll take the time to not only watch passively, but to actively do some of the exercises. Because I can make a tape that just looks really fine, but instead I want to do something that you actually do. It's kind of like a live video workbook. So don't sit passively, do something, follow through, and I can promise you some amazing results, especially if you've really gone through Personal Power now for the 30 days. I can give you an idea. In the last week, I get to hear stories every day from people that have used Personal Power and made huge changes, or used portions of it even. In the last week, I had the privilege of visiting with a man who I met about a year ago, right after the President's State of the Union address. I kind of stayed in the background till a little after midnight, and then I decided to walk up the steps of the Capitol and stand there where the President is inaugurated and just see what it felt like up there for the person who was really making a difference in our country. And in the middle of the night, I see this man running up these stairs saying, "Are you Anthony Robbins?" And I said, "Yes." And he reached up and he grabbed my hand and he shook it. And he said, "My name is Bobby Rush." He said, "You know something? I'm a congressman today because of you." I said, "You're kidding." And he said, "No." And he shared with me how he went through personal power and he changed some of his most limiting beliefs. And he said at the time, he said he knew it was valuable, but he had no idea the cumulative effect that it was going to happen for him, that he started developing a new momentum. He set some brand new goals. He made some tough decisions. He broke through what would stop him, and now he's doing something that he really loves. And by the way, he said, by the way, I was an ex-Black Panther. Talk about a little change. Simultaneously this last week, I had the privilege of spending some time that reminded me of my goal-setting workshop. This workshop you're going through, I did for myself for the first time years ago in Russia, back in 1982. And a couple days ago, I got a chance to see how the world has changed by visiting with the president of the past Soviet Union, Mr. Gorbachev, and flying with him on my private plane for 4 hours. Talk about chills, thinking about what can happen by using these tools. And we started talking about what changed the world. And the interesting thing that he shared with me is he said, the breakthrough, what took us from a place where we had 70,000 nuclear missiles pointing at each other, where people are constantly worrying if we're going to die or not, someone's going to push a button, people are practicing duck and cover. What wiped that out, what ended the Cold War, was two people communicating. He said, what broke it all down is I knew Americans were beasts and you knew we were horrible. He said, but Ronald Reagan and I developed a relationship. And I tried to dig. I said, when did it happen? He said, well, at our first meeting in Geneva. And I said, well, what really did that? What was the first trigger of trust? He said, well, you know, we were both on our side of the fence, you know, arguing for our side. And at one point, he said, Ronald Reagan reached out to me and he said, listen, this is not working. Let me start fresh. My name is Ron. And he said, he reached out to shake my hand and said, may I call you Mikhail? And when he told me the story, of this huge grin on his face. And I began to listen for 4 hours to all the tools that basically you're going to learn on this tape about quality communication and how it changes our lives, our businesses, our relationships, and literally how it changes the world. I'll give you one final example. Now, all I'm trying to do is not to impress you, but to impress upon you that if you'll follow through and do this, some miracles can happen. And I'm giving you some famous names because hopefully that'll grab your attention and you'll think this is real. I tell you about John Smith, you might not listen. But I'll give you one more. Michael Crichton, the writer. I was speaking with him earlier this week as well, and he said, I want to tell you, one late night I was frustrated. People have been calling me saying, how's it going? Which he said really means, where's our work? Where's the screenplay? And he said, I just didn't have any momentum. And he said, I watched this show and I thought, what the heck, I'll try this. And he got the personal power tapes, he said, and he listened. He said, I did the whole thing, all the way through. And he said, I knew that was important. I got this brand new momentum and this new passion, this new energy. And he said, as a result of that, he said, I started writing again. And everybody said my idea was stupid, that it had been done before, it was a waste of time. He said, but I got the thing done. And in the goal-setting workshop you're about to do in a few minutes, he said, I designed what I was going to get out of that, even how much money I'd earn off this particular screenplay. And he said, I wrote down a number that was so unrealistic. It was a number that I'd never gotten before. And he said, you know what? I sold it for exactly the amount I said that I wanted. He said, so I really owe you some thanks. And I said, well, what screenplay was it? What book was it? He said, Jurassic Park, the best-selling movie of all time. He said, I guess I owe you a little thanks. I said, well, thanks, Michael. The point is, this process you're going to do is simple. I'm not going to try and pump you up. I'm going to try and give you little pieces, but it's up to you to follow through. So will you do that? Please do. Don't sit passively. Take some major action. And again, know that we're just going to give you pieces of things. At the end, we'll wrap up together. Make sure, though, that you follow through on the 30-day tapes, because this is your bonus. Those tapes are the basis of this change. And I hope as a result of these changes, you'll want to take yourself to a brand new level. So let's begin. Let's go to our first venue, and let's find out what are some of the tools that can truly change our lives. Okay, good morning. Wow, good morning. Another day, a lousy day in paradise, right? Today, we're going to do something that I'm incredibly excited about. You know, all the things we've done up until now, I know you've all felt huge transformation from. But today, when I first started thinking about it, I thought, oh, you know, this material is so important, but maybe I'll do just part of it because it can get digital. And also, we have joining us by videotape a brand new set of people who will join the 25 million people that have already been exposed to personal power. We've created Personal Power 2 now, the driving force. And in it, we're not just focused on how to achieve your goals, because as many of you know, you've become extremely successful. That's how you got here to be with me in Fiji, how you could afford to be here, both time and money-wise. But you've also learned by your own experience that that's not enough. You got to be fulfilled. So what I want to do today is show you some tools beyond what we've done here in terms of how to really be fulfilled in your values and your goals and your life, and really how to manage your life. Because how many of you found that as you become more successful, sometimes also you've gotten more stressed? Let me see your hands. Say, ah. And I can tell you that all of a sudden when I got 9 companies and 4 children, and I want to write books and do television programs, and now these United Artists Theaters that we do these seminars in all these cities simultaneously, and come here and do programs in Fiji, all that simultaneously, while it's an incredible benefit, incredible reward, even having multiple homes, a real big problem to have, right, to complain about. But all those things make a demand on your time and on your energy, on your mental focus, and pretty soon, sometimes success starts feeling stressful. And you start achieving your goals and say, is this all there is? Why am I working so hard, Like some people come here to Fiji and somebody says to them, why are you working so hard? The Fijians will invariably ask people this. The guy says, well, I'm working hard because I want to make several $1 million so I can come here and lie on the beach. And the Fijian says, well, I lie on the beach here all the time. I don't have any millions of dollars, right? And they have what they would call a quality of life, right? Well, so the person's, so caught up in making a living, they aren't designing their life. I can promise you the impact will thrill you. By the way, let me tell you the other side, too. There's always 2 reasons to do things. One reason is for what you'll get. The other reason is for what you can avoid. Everything we do is to avoid what? Pain, and to gain some pleasure, the combination of the 2. So I can tell you that if you look around just in my country, and I know we've got about 7 different countries represented here, and people watching will be from countries all over the world. But in my country alone, to give you an idea, 1 out of every 2 couples who get married end up in a what? Think about that. 1 out of 2. Was it always that way? No. What's happened is we were told that in the future, when we had all this technology and all this information, what it would do is it make our lives easier. We'd have more free time. How far has that worked? Not very. For most people, they're working harder. They're more stressed today, even though they're living in the information age when everything's supposed to be so much easier. There's something that's shifting there, and it's because we're not managing our resources effectively enough. And that's what we want to change in this process. So part of what we're going to do here is take a look at what the cost is also if you don't do it and what you can gain. We in our country, to give you an idea, in America also have a situation we got 60 to 70% of the people who are overweight, depending on whose poll you read. Now, how is that possible? Only one way, not managing the resources of your emotional state, of the way you eat food, of the way you move, and it costs you the quality of your life. We have 15 million people, I should say, that every year in the United States are diagnosed as clinically depressed. 15 million. Now, how could that be? Not managing the resources of your mind, your body, so you really feel good day to day. You can feel good day to day, you certainly have, but you've learned tools to do that on how to manage your state. You got a situation in America where you have 5% of the world's population in the United States. We consume 50% of the world's cocaine. Think about that. All this says to me is one big giant frame. People don't know how to manage their resources. They don't know how to manage their state. They're living in a state of immense stress. This session is going to show you how to eliminate the vast majority, not all, but the vast majority of unnecessary stress in your life and put a heck of a lot more pleasure than you ever thought of before. But I think before we start, maybe what would be nice to do, since we have these people joining us by video, is let's give them a big welcome from everybody here in Fiji, from, I guess, 7 different countries. Give them a big hand here. Let's welcome them here with us. Oh, give them a big welcome. Crank them up here. So, now, for these people watching the video, or the individual watching the video, probably thinking, this group is crazy. They're all hyped up. They're all motivated. What is this? They may just be watching this video for the first time. So I know most of you got here because some time ago, some of you years ago, some of you months ago, you were up real late one night. You got a set of tapes called Personal Power, and they've had a big impact on your life. That's why you came here to Fiji, to expand it to another level and became part of Mastery University. If you were trying to tell a friend what this has meant to you, somebody who's like, oh, will this really work? I just got started. I don't know if it's going to make a difference. It might help somebody as they're listening to think, yeah, I'm going to listen a little bit closer if I know it really works. Who here would share with them just a few seconds of what it's meant to your life? Back here, why don't you go all the way back in the corner? Yes, Donna. Hand us this microphone, please. Give her hand, us, Donna.
Well, I'm Donna Ringo. I'm from Louisville, Kentucky. I'm here with my husband, Bill, which I would have never imagined in a million years that this would have ever happened. So I want to thank you, Tony, but it all started by thinking I had everything I had ever wanted. We had always done dreams. We'd always done goals, written them down. I had a business that I had started and grew from a one-woman office to 15 employees and sold it for over $1 million. And I thought I had everything I ever wanted. And I woke up one night with nightmares, crying because I was so unhappy. Just because you think you get what you want, it may not be what you really need and what you're destined to do. And I went out and watched the television. I was clicking through and I ordered the tapes. And the greatest thing I ever did was listen to those tapes for every single day. I didn't miss a day. I broke appointments so I could listen to Tony's tapes. And it has changed my life completely. I was always happy. Everybody liked me, I thought, or whatever, but I didn't connect totally with people. And I have lost 54 pounds. I have about 50 to go. I have about 50 more to go, but those are going to come off too. I've made some incredible friends that I just dearly love. And we've started another business. I got out of that other deal. It was I'd get the money over 5 years if I stayed and helped manage, and I just said, the money's not important, and I left a lot of money on the table. And started another business, and we're making more money with 3 people than we did with 15, which I like. And,
life management there, boy.
Absolutely. And not only in the process have we always made a lot of money, but we never made it stick. And last year we invested over $50,000 thanks to Tony's techniques. So, and our relationship was always great, but I have to tell you, this week it's gone to a new level. Thank you.
Thank you.
It all started with a taste. Thank you, Tony.
I noticed Bill took a bow when you said that. You know, it's easy sometimes, you know, when you're around something so much, take a little bit of it for granted, especially yourself, and how much progress you've made. It's kind of like your children, you know. People come to me and say, boy, Josh has sure grown. I go, yeah, he sure has, sort of, you know. But now that my son's in Switzerland going to school, he comes back 3 months later and goes, he's a giant, you know, because I have some contrast. I'm not around it as it's growing incrementally. I get to see the full impact. So you might want to think about a little bit today, and those of you on tape, how far have you really come? Even though you may have some challenges in your life, how far have you come? And most of you are doing so much better than you give yourself credit for, and most of you here are starting to give yourself a bit more credit, I notice, because you're smiling a lot more. Now, so today is life management systems. Question, what does everybody want? If we're going to manage things, we've got to manage them to get a result. So what does everybody want? Tell me. They want peace. What do they want? Yes. Balance. Yes. A fulfilling journey. I would say that what most people want, if you listen to people in the 60s, they'd say to change the world. What was it in the 70s? To take care of me, right? This is if you believe the media anyway. The media that said the 70s was the me generation. Everybody was into the narcissistic approach. In the 80s, what was it supposed to be, if you believe the generalization? Money, right? It got to become successful. And in the 90s, the new catchword is quality of life. But no one seems to be able to define it. Quality of life. Well, I have more free time. Well, how many of you in this room, and I'm sure you must know people, if not yourself, have had free time and not been happy? Anybody had that experience? So sometimes what happens is people achieve their goals, as she just got done saying, achieve your goals and you're still not fulfilled, you're still not happy. So if that happens, you don't have a quality of life. You know, everybody has the illusion that someday when I have more money, someday when I have more time, someday when I have a better home, someday when my family is finally grown up, my kids make it out of school, some days when I get my kids into school, someday when this happens, then I'll have a quality life. But quality life only comes from one thing, fulfillment. And those of you watching here a few days ago, if you were on tape 5, you listened to the goal-setting workshop. We all did a goal-setting workshop yesterday intensely. By the way, was that valuable for you? Did you enjoy it? Yes. Okay. So goals are one thing, though, but goals are a vehicle towards getting yourself to meet these 6 human needs that we talked about on tape number 7. This whole idea, the 6 human needs, and how to make sure that whatever you're doing, you don't just do something that makes you feel good for the moment. You do something that makes you feel fulfilled long term. So if you and I are going to really have an extraordinary quality of life, how would we measure that? Would it be by cars, homes, a certain amount of financial success, maybe doing well in your career? I have to tell you, I've had the privilege now of being with people from about 43 nations of the world. And throughout that time, I've worked with the most, quote, successful people in the world and those that are most challenged. And what I find is the common denominator of success or failure ultimately is fulfillment. There are a lot of people out there that have everything on their side, and they're frustrated. And there are a lot of people that have every challenge you can imagine. They're excited about the passion of their life, trying to figure out how to make it work. I think ultimately a quality life is a life where you experience the emotions that you want on a regular basis. You know, I had the privilege of meeting Sir John Templeton and talking with him and interviewing him. And this is a gentleman who's made an amazing difference in the world. He's also been very successful in business. He's a billionaire, probably one of the most successful investors for the last 50 years around the world. And when you ask Sir John, what does it take to be, quote, wealthy? John turned to me and said, Tony, it takes one thing, gratitude. I said, that's interesting. He said, yeah, because it doesn't matter how much money you have in your life or anything else. If you're not grateful, you're not rich. I think that's really true way beyond the money, right? It's about all the areas of our life. So ultimately, what I really hope that personal power will do for you by your taking advantage of these tools is show you how to live in a place where you feel the joy, the excitement, the passion, the love, the connection, all the emotions that you really want in life, and spend a lot